Let's continue our conversation with State Representative James Talarico. Apologize for interrupting you, State Representative Talarico, and taking that press conference live. We just wanted to see if the president was going to make any news regarding the assassination of Charlie Kirk or any other important issues that he is facing right now. He did not, but looking forward to continuing this conversation with you. Let me just get your thoughts on some of the things we heard the president say there right now, specifically calling those on the left the problem in this country, saying that they are the scum, referring to them as agitators, and also saying that there will be announcements made soon regarding people on the left being investigated. He said there are already those that are under investigations without offering any specifics as to who exactly he is referencing.
Yeah, this is exactly what's wrong with politics. I said earlier that politics is not left versus right, it's top versus bottom. Billionaires like Donald Trump, like Elon Musk, like Rupert Murdoch, like Mark Zuckerberg, the billionaires who own the social media algorithms, who own the cable news networks, who own the politicians who are fighting on our screens, they divide us by party, by race, by gender, by religion, to keep us from realizing that they are picking our pockets. They are closing our schools, they're gutting our health care, and they're cutting taxes for themselves while they raise taxes on all of us. And so my whole campaign is about trying to push past these artificial divisions that politicians and the corporate media want us focused on so that we can actually take power back for working people in Texas and across America.
In the wake of all of this, and given what we've just heard the president say there, what do you think that work on the ground is actually going to look like? I mean, if you just take Texas, and you're now going to have to hit the road and have hard conversations with people who, you know, I'm sure you have your own concerns about your own security now, actually, as you set out to do this work. How are you thinking about the need to get in front of people, bridge these incredibly complicated divides, while also keeping yourself safe in a really difficult moment?
Well, I think this is a time for courage, courage from all of us, whether we're candidates for public office, whether we're journalists, whether we're regular citizens. We are all called to step up at this critical moment in our history. The goal of political violence is to divide us. It's to separate us from each other. It's to make us afraid. We cannot succumb to that. We have to show up, we have to join together, and we've got to take power back for the people of this country. And I'm hopeful that this campaign can be a small part of that movement. And I hope that folks who are watching who want to join us, whether they're in Texas or not, they can sign up to do that. You can go to our website, jamestalarico.com, and sign up to help us change the politics of this state and change the politics of this country.
So with your campaign, you've talked a lot about the problem of billionaires and big money in politics. And I was wondering what kind of thresholds you are setting for your campaign, cap on donations, rejection of donations from specific individuals. What are the parameters, and what kind of money will you not accept funding from?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'm the only Texas legislator that has never accepted a dime of corporate PAC money. That's a self-imposed ban in my legislative office. I'm continuing that policy as a candidate for U.S. Senate. So I won't be taking any corporate PAC money in this race. You know, in the first 12 hours of my campaign, thousands of Texans from all over the state pitched in $5, $10, $15, and we raised more than $1 million in those first 12 hours just from people. So this campaign that I'm running is truly a campaign of, by, and for the people.
Mr. Talarico, can I follow up on that with perhaps some more specifics, and certainly as it relates to past donations, future donations? I understand last year and state campaign finance data shows that a group funded by the casino mogul Miriam Adelson was the biggest donor to your House reelection race last year. Can you clarify that? Will you be taking money from her or any organization that she supports? Will you be taking money from AIPAC in this election year?
Well, if there's any money going through a corporate PAC, I won't be accepting it, as I said. And I have always supported legalizing gambling here in Texas. It is good public policy. It will help bring good jobs to Texas, and it will bring desperately needed tax revenue for our public schools. As you may know, I'm a former public school teacher, and I have fought in the trenches of the Texas legislature to save Texas public schools. And so I'm always going to support policies that achieve that goal. And to answer your last question, no, I will not be accepting money from AIPAC in this race.
Can I ask you to build on that, what your current stance is on Israel's assault on Gaza and what you believe should be done if, for example, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu were to come here to the United States? Would you, as a senator, support his arrest? What do you think is the correct path forward there?
Well, there's a theologian who said, I screamed at God for the starving children until I realized the starving children was God screaming at me. And God is screaming at all of us in Gaza as we speak. Israel has a right to exist and a right to defend itself just like any nation. But Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't have the right to wage war against civilians, to use famine and collective punishment as tactics. So to answer your question, as a U.S. Senator, I will use the financial and diplomatic leverage in this country to stop the atrocities and the suffering in Gaza.
Would you
and it's
meet
not
with,
just for the
would
people
you meet
of Gaza,
with Netanyahu?
but it is also for the people of it's also for the people of Israel, because Benjamin Netanyahu's disastrous war has made the people of Israel and Jewish people all over the world less safe as a result. And so I think this crisis deserves immediate action. I'm less interested in what meetings are happening. I'm more interested in what actions are going to be taken by our U.S. Senate to stop the unimaginable suffering in Gaza.
So specifically, though, would you meet with Benjamin Netanyahu as a member of the U.S. Senate?
Not until we take clear action to protect the innocent lives that we're losing. Again, I think sometimes we get into these questions that are distraction from the real issue at hand. All of us should be focused on what actions we can take to save lives in Gaza. And that's going to mean stopping offensive weapon sales to Israel. That's an actual policy that can save lives. It's not a meeting. It's not terminology. It's action. We've been talking for too long among politicians, among journalists. The talk needs to end and the action needs to start.
All right, State Representative James Talarico. Sir, thank you so much for your patience. Again, apologies that we interrupted the earlier part of the conversation, but we really appreciate you sticking with us throughout the rest of the show.